Okay. So I would like to welcome everybody back to Alabama Care. And this week we are going to be speaking with Veronica McGee, Mrs. McGee, and about TASH, AlabamaTASH. So at this point, I'd like to hand it over and allow you to introduce yourself.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Hope you're getting through this rainy day. We are excited to be here, and I'm excited to be here to talk to you all about AlabamaTASH. And, any questions that you might have at the end of this fun talk, I'd be happy to answer. And because I think a lot of you may not be familiar with AlabamaTASH. So we're going to change that today.
And what exactly is AlabamaTASH? Take me through a little bit of the history there.
Okay. So TASH is an international leader in the disability world. And they were started in 1975. And it actually stands for, because a lot of people, the first question they usually ask me is, what is TASH? What does that mean?
Well, there's a lot of acronyms
in our world, I know. So unfortunately in the 70s and 80s and 90s, I guess acronyms were a big thing. But TASH does stand for the Association of Severely Handicapped. So again, those are acronyms that we don't really use in the 21st century. And TASH had thought about changing the name, and they said, you know what, it is so well known, it is so embedded in everybody's minds that we're just going to stick with TASH. So again, we like to use, we represent a community, an inclusive community of people with, all kinds of challenges and disabilities, and so we are kind of encumbersome of everything involved
so
in the disability world.
Back in the day in 75 is very specific, but now you encompass really the entire community and services and supports for whatever's needed there. And TASH, it does roll off the tongue. I mean, TASH.org.
Yeah. AlabamaTASH sounds really good too. So we love our name, and we do have a Facebook page. So when it's easy to remember, you just plug in AlabamaTASH. And I went to my first conference as a parent in 2016. It was in St. Louis, and it was phenomenal. I mean, as a parent of a son with very significant challenges, I needed to find resources. I needed to be around an environment where a lot of my hopes and dreams and plans for a full life for Kyle could be answered, and I could meet people all over the country. So yeah, at St. Louis, when I was in St. Louis, I mean, I met people from all over. They had presenters from all over. So it's a very, very organized organization. I mean, they have, they've got a board of directors. It's based in Washington, D.C. If you all wanted to go out and visit them, they'd be more than welcome you. They're policymakers, and it was strategic why they based it in D.C. because they are actually within the loop. I mean, they're only a few blocks from the Capitol. So they've got a really great staff of people that focus on policymaking. So yeah, it's a very serious.
They can walk down an hour trip and be there.
No, within 10 minutes and be on the Hill, so. Yeah, they do a lot of policy making, and they make a big difference with a lot of the legislatures.
Now, TASH has been around since 1975, but it is kind of new to Alabama. Could you kind of walk me through that?
So the timeline for that is basically when I came back from St. Louis, a group of us went. There was my good friend Susan Alice. She was the one that originally kind of told me about TASH, and she recommended that I go. So when we came back from St. Louis, we realized that there were 33 states that had TASH chapters, and of course, Alabama was not one of them. So, we have amazing advocacy groups in our state. We have a strong representation of our world of disabilities in all areas. So we knew Alabama needed a chapter. So a few of us got together about a year ago, a little more than a year ago. And so we formed our little group and started having our little calls, and then put our bylaws together and put our mission together and did what we needed to do and submitted it to DC. And then they voted on us this last conference in Atlanta, no, 2 years ago in Atlanta in 2017, and we were then officially made a chapter. So we were officially made a chapter in December of 2018.
In December of
2017, sorry.
So I imagine that is getting an organization off the ground. You have some help from DC and headquarters, but that is quite a feat. To go from
Especially for someone who's never done it before. So, I've been in the corporate world, but I'm not an organizer. I'm kind of, on the other end of it. So it was, it's been fun, and we really, we have our ebbs and flows, but we had our first TASH, AlabamaTASH event, which was in, University of Alabama. We hosted a screening of an amazing movie that was a partnership with TASH and USAID out in New Hampshire, and Dan Habib was the producer. Chris Cooper, he's a real well-known actor, was the narrator, and it's an incredible movie, very powerful movie called Intelligent Lies. So we invited a lot of folks to the campus of the University of Alabama. We had folks from, the Department of Mental Health.
Just this past November. Is there a good link where that movie, is it online?
Yes. So we are screening. TASH is trying to get as many people out there familiar with this movie because it speaks for itself. Mm-hmm. You just can show the movie and have a discussion. And it follows the lives of three individuals, three young adults, in their lives specifically for employment and a full life, a normal life in their community, because TASH is about community practices. I mean, that's our platform is, every individual has the right to live and work in their community. And so this movie speaks for that. So yes, you can get TASH had a generous donor who bought the movie for us. ADAP purchased the movie for us. I think it was, $40. It's not very much. And then as long as you are screening it without charging and you're doing it, in a world of, you can't go screen it and show it to employees at the mall or something like that. They want it to be in an environment where people are going to benefit.
Could we stream it on here?
Yeah.
And just allow people to engage in the chat? Because that would be really cool for like a Sunday afternoon or something like that.
It's a 70-minute movie, so it and it even has a whole another set of a tool package that helps you ask the right questions, and it has a thing for you to follow to engage people. Yeah. So we're doing it. We're screening. It's been being screened. I think Family Voices screened it for their people. Mm-hmm. I'm working on a screening at Samford University with the college students and the peers there. So yeah, it's all part of a membership with TASH. You can have access to it.
Now you say membership. What exactly is a membership with TASH? What do you mean by that?
So a membership, again, when you hear the word membership, there is a fee. Mm-hmm. Correct. So a lot of the resources and access to all these amazing podcasts and IEP tools, and I mean, it is a one-stop shop. All of that is on their website, which as a member, that's really all I use. You can have access to a social link if you have your own little disability or your own purpose that you want to get out there, then you can just do it through their social link because it's connected to everybody. So a membership is fee-based, but it also is part of a community. I mean, you are part of this huge thousands and thousands of members community.
Well, I think it makes sense. There's a lot of talk between like the freemium model and membership based, and it takes a lot of resources, time and effort to make these resources available to document them. Mm-hmm. And I think long term, if that's something that you want to establish as a platform there, I think a membership helps that become, and it also is a buy-in for the member. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, a membership for a self-advocate, TASH just started this because again, they want to get as many people to understand what they're about and what is actually available to them. So for $3.25 a month, a self-advocate can have a monthly membership. A caregiver it's like $4.50 a month. I mean, I have a yearly membership, which is $33 or $40 a month, a year. So, I mean, and you open up this whole world of opportunities. And I mean, I've shared information with teachers, Kyle's teachers. I've shared information with his employer. I mean, I just use all of the tools they have on their website for all kinds of reasons.
So it really is kind of
Deep.
a one-stop.
It goes very deep, yes.
I imagine you can spend some time on there, kind of like,
yeah.
and I say Googling, but I would
Yes.
say tashing.
Yes,
You know,
tashing. I'll have to tell Ruthie that. That's a good acronym, tashing. It just really gives parents a lot of information that they can take back to their schools, take back to their case managers, take back to their churches. I mean, they even are doing a podcast right now on inclusion in a special, well, they don't even call it a special needs ministry. It's just inclusion in a ministry for people with disabilities, because, you know, we are not a special needs world. It just really gives parents a lot of information that they can take back to their schools, take back to their case managers, take back to their churches. I mean, they even are doing a podcast right now on inclusion in a special, well, they don't even call it a special needs ministry. It's just inclusion in a ministry for people with disabilities, because, you know, we are not a special needs world.
So when we first sat down here, we were kind of talking before we went live, and I had mentioned that I had spoken with somebody in Tennessee named Ruthie Marie Beckwith about some things that I was learning in the community, and she was doing what was called a microboard association in Tennessee, and she was the head of that. And I was familiar with microboards here in Alabama from my personal family experience. And then Ruthie said that she was no longer in Tennessee. Mrs. Beckwith said she was no longer in Tennessee and had actually gone up to Washington, to D.C. And I was like, I don't really know what she's doing there. And Mrs. McGee, I saw your eyes light up and you go, Ruthie Marie Beckwith? And so I just came to find out about a half hour ago that she is the executive director.
I was going to bring up her picture.
Let me I can bring it up
find
on
her.
the stream here. I mean, if I...
Yeah, Ruthie has a soft spot in her heart for helping us to be successful in Alabama, because she is a native Tennessean, and she's, you know, she is so, she's really behind us in getting our little chapter, you know, out there. And so, yeah, Ruthie's awesome. She would come here and if I asked her to come here and talk to a group of people, you know, she'd be here because she wants an excuse to come back to the South.
Yeah, and it was amazing.
She's in D.C. now.
It was amazing what like a small world it was, and so
Here's Ruthie. Let's see her. I'm bringing her up. Yeah, so she has a full staff. So they're very involved in putting on really good stuff. And this is little thing right here. This is her newsletter she does called TASH Connections. And here she is. I cannot wait till this comes out, because it's so full of so many incredible articles and contributors. And the people who contribute to this are not the staff members writing. These are people like me and us all over the United States, you know, whether it be special educators at post-secondary colleges or employers having a success story. I mean, it's just a really cool.
Now, is that available? Can I
the
access
membership.
that right now? Mm-hmm. Or I would have to have a membership.
You have to have a membership.
And as you're scrolling through it here, I can see it is set up like a magazine and a book, where there are quite a bit of stories on there,
Yep.
and it looks just like a wealth of information
Yeah, and it's so it comes out every 2 months. Yeah, this is this was a really good story. When the rubber hits the transition road, stories from two families navigating the path toward an inclusive life. I mean, it just really gives parents a lot of information that they can take back to their schools, take back to their case managers, take back to their churches. I mean, they even are doing a podcast right now on inclusion in a special, well, they don't even call it a special needs ministry. It's just inclusion in a ministry for people with disabilities, because, you know, we are not a special needs world. We are, all the
inclusive.
same. Mm-hmm.
I saw the podcast link, but I haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah.
I want to. I want to listen to a few episodes and see, if I can pick up anything there.
Yeah.
Now, we just talked about inclusive practices. I feel like that is kind of a buzzword, but what is an inclusive community and what is not an inclusive community?
Well, for me and for my son Kyle, our journey has been over the last 3 years to create a full life for him where he has access and supports to everything in his community in an inclusive way. No segregation, no special treatment, fairness, efficacy. Efficacy is a big thing. I mean, that is that's not happening, especially with, I think there's a subset of population within the population of significant disabilities. I mean, I think the employment rate is 8% for if you want to define, and people have different definitions of significant disabilities. For me, for Kyle, he is extremely receptive, but he doesn't have a voice to tell you his thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And so communication is different for him. But yet when people get to know him, and they have gotten to know him through his employment and through his church and through his service in the community, they understand that, oh, wow, he does have a lot to say and he belongs. He's a contributor to our society. Mm-hmm. So when you say inclusive practices, a person in practicing inclusivity, did I say that right?
I'm thinking about that too.
Efficacy, they are contributing members to society. They're just part of their community.
Mm-hmm. I think it's great that you pointed out that he has a voice. It just takes a little bit of time to get to know that voice and how that voice is heard. My aunt is very similar. She's nonverbal. I don't know if that's the correct terminology there, but when you're around her and her caregivers and her family, when she goes to say something, it's like, okay, this is what she wants. But when people that aren't familiar with Bridget and they don't know her communication style, it can almost seem, and she can get very frustrated too, as anybody would get if you're trying to say something and they're just not understanding. But with time, I mean, all of her caregivers know what she wants, when she wants it. And
well, that's why employment was such an important part for me in knowing about TASH, because employment was such an important part for me in knowing about TASH, because I was struggling with that. How is that ever going to work for Kyle? And when I went to TASH and I saw at the conference what other people were doing and how they were doing it, and how they were making it happen, talking to hundreds of parents, and realizing that this is not a dream. This is happening, and it's happening more and more and more. So TASH was where I was able to realize that for Kyle. And now 3 years later, he has a structured time. He goes to a job with a job coach and a communicator, and the employees at his job, they almost know him better than I do. I mean, because they spend every day with him. Mm-hmm. So you have that opportunity. But if it wasn't for TASH, I wouldn't have understood it. I wouldn't know as a parent how to reach that. And if I can say anything to parents and family members, being in an environment and taking the time and the effort and the money to go to something like this will pay off hugely in dividends. It's paid off for Kyle. It's created a whole new life for him. And I really contribute that to the TASH conference.
And that's being there for that weekend, being surrounded by people.
I was there for 5 days.
Oh, it is a 5-day event.
Yeah.
Now that was in 2016, but is there a conference coming up this year that someone could attend?
It is coming up December. They always do them in November, December. So it's going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. And it is, I am trying to think, it's on the website. Even if you just Google TASH Conference 2019.
It'll come up.
And I think it's December 11th and 12th and 13th. I think it's that second week of, I'm not sure. We'd have to look. But yeah, it's in December. of 2019 in Phoenix, Arizona. It's at the Sheraton.
Okay. I used to live in Phoenix.
I know.
It's
a cool place.
Yeah, I love Phoenix. But it gets hot. So in December, it'll be a beautiful time of the
So are you a Phoenix, what's the baseball team?
The Diamondbacks?
Yeah, are you a Diamondback?
No, I grew up in Philadelphia, so I'm a Phillies.
So last year, a little side note, over spring break, we took our kids to see the Grand Canyon. But so in the same week, we went to spring training out in Phoenix, and then we saw the opening day of the Diamondbacks at the stadium. So we had a fun trip. Grand Canyon opening day and spring training all in 1 week.
That stadium out there is huge. It's
Yeah,
hard to
it's really
fill
cool.
that stadium.
It was cool.
Was it really?
Oh yeah.
Opening day? Mm-hmm. I've been to a few games there where it's like $10 tickets.
And very accessible, by the way. Kyle had a blast.
So you really have a success story with TASH from your personal experience.
Mm-hmm. That's the reason I feel so passionate about folks getting to know about TASH. It really, really is the cream of the crop when it comes to what they're putting out there, the information they're putting out there, the advocacy they're doing, the policy making they're doing, the parent outreach they're doing. It's top of the food chain.
I can see a lot of that on the national scale, and being a newer organization in the last year and a half, 2 years, what are some things that TASH does in the state in the last year?
So, we have our little chapter bylaws, and we had to submit a plan to TASH DC. I mean, we have to have it organized in and we had an action plan, and our group picked certain things we were going to focus on. And one of them, for example, was, I don't know if anybody out there had gone to or familiar with the SABE conference that Birmingham hosted. We hosted the big national conference. It was about 1,000 people that attended. And one of our goals was to obviously increase our membership and to recruit new members. Mm-hmm. We had a high lofty goal of 20. We didn't make that, but so that, for example, was an action plan step of ours. Another one was the screening of intelligent lives.
And that was
we've done that, and we've had 3 or 4 screenings associated with TASH. So those are some of the things we're doing. And we'd love to partner with other groups too. Like we partnered with Family Voices, we partnered with ADAP, we partnered with People First. So, we're partnering with folks like that too.
And
I just emailed DC. I was trying to get our latest membership number. I don't have access to that. I'm hoping he'll answer me back here while we're online, and I can tell everybody where our total membership is at this point. But I don't
from
have that
the
number right now.
members that so you had some members sign up at the SABE conference there. What does that look like for a member for communication? Do you have a lot of communication with them, or is it more now you have access to the website?
Well, now that I have access to their email,
Yeah.
I'm trying to, but once they're a member, they have in our Facebook page, they don't really need to talk to me unless they specifically, want to do something. No, now that they're a member and they have access to our Facebook page, if they want something posted, they would just send it to me, because obviously I'm the
organizer,
whatever you call it. Yeah, me and another we just brought on a great new social media director. I'm so excited about her. She is a just finished her master's in social work at UAB, and she is going to start with us. And she's a self-advocate. She has cerebral palsy, and Meg is going to come online with us. She can handle the social media. So so once you're a member, you just have access to all of it.
Mm.
Did that answer your question?
Well, I'm trying to see if there's been any. I didn't know what that would look like for a member. Like if there would be monthly meetings where you guys would meet together.
No, now, no. Well, we're that is coming, but again, like for example, Arizona has their own mini TASH conference. California has a big their own big TASH conference. So yeah, that's the long-term goal, is that we'll have enough members and enough momentum where, yeah, we will get together and we'll try to come up with doing something as a group in our community, whether it be anywhere around Alabama. So, but we're not at that point yet. So right now, with our officers and our board members, we have just the good old
Your core group of people, and you really have to build from there.
We have the good old Zoom meetings that we do that everybody does. So yeah, we continue to develop that way through Zoom. I mean, I have used so much of their information for I mean, I'm like my own legal representative. I mean, I haven't even talked about the legal and the support systems there, but yeah, I mean, it's just whenever I need something in my life, for Kyle's life, I mean, I go there. Right, because they have these platforms. They have what's called YES, Youth Employment Solutions. So they started this big platform 2 years ago, and all of that is focused on, and the people who run that platform is transition and employment after school. It's all employment based. And then you have a policy making committee that meets every other month, and you can listen in on that and be able to ask legal, policy making questions, and how can I get this changed in my state? And so they represent all of us chapters, so we're not alone. We're represented by the folks in DC.
Gotcha.
So it's pretty cool.
So then I would say to the community, you think it was like $3.75.
$3.25 for a self-advocate on a monthly membership. Mm-hmm. A caregiver is $4.50 a month. If an organization that has a staff of 5, mm-hmm. $33 a month.
Yeah.
And 5 staff members. So you can join, and like we have had, like University of Alabama, they're some of their staff. They're as an organization, and they have those benefits, which it's a little bit higher, but then you have anybody.
So if someone wanted to I feel like a lot of times people would like to talk with somebody before they make or become a member. Mm-hmm. Do they call you or? Mm-hmm.
Yep, I am on the contact number on the AlabamaTASH Facebook page.
So I'm going to go ahead and pull up that Facebook page so you can see the contact information here. So I will put in TASH / or let me just go to TASH.
Professional membership was 23%, which is like a professional, registering as a professional was 23%. The associate membership was $161. The self-advocate was 19%. Student was 14%. So like if you're a college student, you get a discount too. Organization was 6%. And that's the one we really are trying to work on getting larger.
Yeah.
Lifetime was 14%, which is pretty cool. And I'm not sure what this one is. Organization sub, that was 11%.
I wonder if that's like ARC and then the individual ARC of Jefferson County, Shelby County, something like that. And organizations.
Well, this is national. These are national percentages. This is not Alabama, because our percentage is still our membership is still pretty small.
But I wonder if like on an organization, if that was, ARC or, any big provider organization and then the sub.
Well, organization is 6%. So I think if I remember that right, that was the one that they were really trying to focus on. We really need to get those organizations involved. Again, it's just like going to our legislators and getting them to understand what's going on. So it's the same way with in a micro format, getting TASH out there to understand how powerful it can be and how much information is, but get it to the organization so they can share it with their
to everybody in the organization.
So that I know TASH National, that's one of their big. In fact, one of the things they're doing it is like, how do I tell people about TASH? You got 2 minutes of their time. So TASH National is DC is developing a video. Mm-hmm. That I can use. It's a membership video to help recruit members, and it's going to be super cool. And I'll be able to just use that as a tool to help recruit members.
Nice.
Yeah, it's coming out soon.
Okay, let's see here. So at this point, let me go back and see if anybody has any questions in the chat. Tammy is here. Vera, good to see you. And Tammy said that she saw the movie, just watched it this week. So,
Yay!
and I want to see the movie. Where would I?
I can send it to you.
Okay. I don't know how that would work. I don't know if I can put it online.
No, you can't.
That's what I was thinking, because it would be awesome to put it out there like that.
Yeah, and I'll call, but I'm not saying no. I don't believe in nevers and nos. I will check with DC to see how that would work for you. I know there's a way.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident there's a way. At this point, I think we have a total. I just looked up our Alabama membership. I think we have a total of 28 members so far.
So you're,
and I'm telling you all that. I'm being very transparent. We need more members.
Well, I would. I think it makes sense for my organization, BHI, Bridget's Home Inc. I'm interested to see what would be there for caregivers, how the staff for Bridget would use that.
So they have a lot of caregiver support articles. I know there's a lot of caregiver newsletters out there. What I think, it's a social media link for hiring, for connecting. Say you're moving and you need to be connected. They can definitely connect you to resources. But for me personally, it was just understanding for Kyle what I needed to do to get his trajectory, which we use the Charting the Life tools trajectory, and we use the STAR, and so we really used a lot of that. But for caregivers, it's a start, and I can just 100% guarantee they will be happy. They will find it a useful, very useful membership within their family. It's no doubt in my mind.
I'd like to.
And it's not disjointed. It's not one thing here, one thing here, one thing here, one thing here, one thing. It's just all.
Is it easy to have is there a search bar there where you can type in a keyword, and that's because a lot of times I'll go to a website and there'll be a search bar there, but when I type in search, it doesn't bring up anything relevant. So I feel like that's a really big resource.
Yeah. Let's go.
Even when you go to Google and you type in something you're looking for, sometimes it's in the other side of the country and it's not very relevant to.
So I mean, here's just different headers, and so I mean it just goes from there. And then once you're a member, you create your own profile. You have connections, which is the wonderful. You can have your own groups. You can message people, and you can message your questions. It's like having your own private chat group, and I can post all kinds of things, and other people will read it, and there's the search bar. So, you can just do all kinds of things. There's all kinds of quick links.
I know that TASH is. I'll say partially funded through membership, but is there any other funding sources there?
Yeah, there is. I mean, for young people in college, you can be a TASH ambassador, and that will give you access to getting to the conference paid for, having your membership paid for, and they have TASH ambassadors in every state. We haven't done that yet, but they really, really like to see young minded, passionate people.
I feel like there's a lot of difference, like in the high school and the college age. That's where you can really.
The college age for the ambassadors. So, but no, there are resources, and we as AlabamaTASH are getting sponsors for memberships.
So people are paying for others to be members?
Like People First is paying for one of our new members, paid for his membership.
So you can kind of do I want a membership plus I want to gift a membership.
Exactly.
In a way.
Absolutely.
And that's easy to do on the website there. So that could even be
I can bring up the membership form if you'd like me to.
That could be a great Christmas present.
Yeah.
Birthday present, something like that. Something that's meaningful for, you could do a year-long
everybody,
membership.
Birthdays, Christmas, absolutely. And more people are doing that. They said, instead of giving me stuff for my birthday, you see the GoFundMes all the time, send your money for this organization or this organization. So, Yeah. And even our school systems, Kyle was a big advocate for getting our Shelby County school system on board for TASH. They had 3 of their administrative people attend the conference. They've had their members now, and they're passing it all down to their teachers and their special ed teachers, because TASH has a big educational platform, a huge inclusive education platform.
Mm-hmm. Now, what does that look like for the point of contact between TASH and the schools? You would say it's mostly administrators that would be kind of the point of contact there, that you would...
As far as being a member or being in contact? Well, the point of contact is someone that can have the ability to pass it on. Mm-hmm. In other words, formally get this to their program specialists at each individual school. Make sure that they're getting the information that TASH is talking about to all their schools. So yeah, your point of contact for me was our program specialist at the Department of Special Education.
Okay.
So the Department of Special Ed, you want to make them aware of this.
Yeah, so if a family member is watching or is going to see the video later and they say, I want this to be in my school, so then you would say, I would go to the program chair of special education,
right.
whoever that would be.
Whoever your special ed director is. Or at your own school, whoever your lead special education teacher is.
Mm. And this could be if you think that the school is maybe just not up to par, or they're just not quite on hip of what's going on.
In Alabama as a whole, TASH is just not something that people know about in our state. It's very, very well used in the Northeast, East Coast, and out West, in the Midwest, but there's this gap in the South that it's up for Tennessee. Because Tennessee is a really, and Kyle presented at TASH. So for all you teachers that are doing amazing things out there with your students, TASH loves to have special ed teachers bring their students and apply to present at TASH. When I was there, some of the best sessions I went to were by special ed teachers and their students. So Kyle presented with help with a couple of us, and he presented at TASH in 2017.
Did he enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean,
imagine
he's just like, okay, Mom, there you go again. But yeah, I highly encourage for this upcoming conference, all of you educators, you people who have a message and something they want to get out there, because this conference is attended by, I think the attendance for this January, it was in Portland, which was hard because you're on the east all the way out there, but they still had, I think, 1,500 people.
Yeah.
No, wait. I think it was 2,000 people. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I imagine just being there for 5 days, or for a long weekend, being surrounded by people that are moving in that direction and energized about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, you come back. Of course, you're just like, I got to do this. You have to bring yourself down, and
We're gonna do all that, but it's gonna take a year. Our game plan is there.
I didn't go to Portland this year. I was planning on it, but it was the same time we were screening our Intelligent Lives event at Tuscaloosa, University of Alabama. So.
Now, does TASH also take on mental? Like, do they write about mental illness and have resources online for MI as well?
Right. So, for example, the people on our board, help. What I would recommend for the schools is please see if and you can even do this in your IEP. Ask for your special education teacher for them to set aside funds for your special education teacher to attend the conference in Phoenix. That is the best way to try to get that world brought into your school. And school systems have funds set aside for that. So, have that in your IEP. Say, I would like for my son's special. I did that with my son, and have my son, be able to have his special ed, whoever, come out and be represented and go to this conference and just bring it all back.
Yeah.
Because that is the way to bring it into the school system. Because the special education teachers are the feet. I mean, they are the ones
doing the legwork on a day-to-day basis.
Doing the work day in and day out. Mm-hmm. So they need to be there.
I think that would be awesome.
Very much so.
Yeah. If the schools took a break for a week and said, all special ed teachers are going out to Phoenix this year.
They're all going to be fighting over, I want to go, no, you want to go. But it's well worth it. I mean, you can't find anything in the state of Alabama that would give them that much information, that much quality information for the price. It doesn't exist in Alabama or any of our neighboring states. It doesn't.
Well, you're the rock now that's going to grow and be that point in the South. So I applaud you for doing that.
Thank you. And believe me, I'm just an organizer along with, I have 6 or 7 other organizers helping me a lot. So
well, it takes time,
I
but
appreciate them so much.
And I feel like even as a state in general, people will say, at least we're not Mississippi, that kind of thing. And do rank kind of lower on the list for resources available, I think, in mental health. But I think we have a lot of great people in leadership, and we have game plan for the next few years, the final rule and all that stuff. I think we're going to skyrocket. I really do. I think Alabama is going to catch the nation by storm, and they're going to be like, where did you guys come from? You guys are now one of the leaders, nationally, and I'm really excited for Alabama right now. And
as part of TASH, it's my job to attend a lot of the stuff going down in Montgomery. So, I was involved in the meeting with the Department of Mental Health with Terry Pazins and the talk about where do we go with our waiver system and what are the changes we need to make. So I try to keep myself up to date on a lot of things so that when a parent does call me, I have the ability to help them with their answers and to give them access to the right people to talk to. So again, I'm very in tune with people first. I stay in touch with, Sue Tall with the Down syndrome, the Full Life Ahead folks. I mean, Tammy's always sending me things. So, I'm kind of like a point person, just like Full Life Ahead is. And just like TASH is just, another vehicle for us all to use. We're all, but again, they're doing some pretty amazing things.
I'm excited for the state as a whole.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of really cool things and organizations going on and a lot of great people leading that.
We just all just need to not do it separately and work together so we don't have to reinvent the wheel over and over again.
I'd like to kind of take a left turn here. It's something that I have had people call me about, and it's something that my grandparents designed for their daughter. But it's long-term living for somebody that needs 24-hour support. And a lot of the big push right now is in community living, independent living. And I don't know what that would look like on a big scale. I have a lot of people call in like, hey, my son he's kicked out of this community home he was in, aggressive behavior. We don't know what to do.
So TASH had a whole day on that with what other people are doing around the country. I personally have taken that up. That's all I'm focusing on right now is researching and learning what people are doing, and it is changing big time. In Washington, in Pennsylvania, there are accessible communities, integrated communities, not out 40 miles outside of town. They're utilizing abandoned schools and turning them into their nucleus where all their services can be provided, and they're building Minka homes, which is accessible homes that are 1,200 square feet that cost $75,000. There is a gentleman named Bill Moore who is launching a huge effort because the senior housing community is very well funded, very, very strong, very big lobbyists. Their needs are really the same as our young adults needs. We call them adult children. That's what they call them in the senior housing world. They're called adult children. We still have to care for them. So I personally am working on trying to figure out a way to connect those two, and I've got some really good meetings set up coming forward. But it's happening. It's just not happening in Alabama yet. It is happening in other areas, and again, it's called visitability. You're not going to put somebody in a group home where no one can see them if you want your son to have visitability, which is living in a home of their choice with a porch, with support systems next to them, with services within reach, access to jobs, to bus systems. but affordable. And the big question is, how do we get our Medicaid dollars to be
Support
able to
that.
use for that? And according to the federal government, as long as it's an integrated community, there are people using their waiver dollars for their.
Then it's
for their
acceptable
home.
to use
Yeah,
those
it's
waiver
acceptable to
dollars
use
for.
it.
I think that's a big thing that we're tackling, and I don't know what that looks like on a
We could
big
have a
scale.
whole we could have a whole show about that and what's happening. Now is the time, because the federal government is listening, and and you learn all this at TASH. I mean, you will learn all that. You go to the website and you go and you bring up housing, but without rambling, I mean I get really excited when I talk about this subject, but it's time. It's an epidemic. It's a really big epidemic.
Yeah. I mean, that would be something.
Parents are desperate.
It's one thing that I hear, and I think is a hot topic in the community. Is I'm not a father. Don't have any kids yet, but my aunt, she has her own place, and I see that as like a great thing. But I don't know how to expand that. How everybody could get there, and I think that the Medicaid waivers would really support that for a lot of people.
And for Kyle, my vision is we want to retire out of our large house. So we have a vision of we would retire with him on this campus that's integrated. But we would all share the same services like they do in an assisted living senior housing community. You'd share the dining room. You would share the activities.
So you're saying a merger of like
of the two kind of, and where I live there too, but I'm not with Kyle all day long.
Yeah, that's a really unique. I never heard that merger before, because
Well,
that's an
it
ED
doesn't
waiver and
exist
an ID
yet.
waiver merging together.
But truly integrated, where even they're doing this on the University of Illinois, where they have built 3 what they call Minka homes on the campus, and they have a senior living in one, adult with disabilities in the other one, and they're all living there right on the campus.
That makes sense. Now that you say it, it makes sense.
Because I don't want to. I mean, I want to be near Kyle, but I don't want to have to be. He doesn't want to be with me all day long, every day.
Oh, I don't want to be next to my
And
mom.
so in the evenings, he's with me and my husband. We're sleeping and we're whatever. But it's a community. But during the day, he's doing whatever he's doing, and we're doing whatever we're doing.
Do you think that's possible even if you weren't living there? Could it still be integrated? Like,
Yeah.
my aunt or your son could be there, and I wouldn't live there, or could she still be there? That's possible.
But the idea of having these communities that are not necessarily in a building, but are individual little homes, but they're all close together, and they're like a pod, and they have, people with disabilities and not with disabilities, seniors and not seniors. And they're affordable. And people are seeing them because they're not in a building in a room where you can't see them. People want to be seen, and they want to know that you're there.
You're
So
talking
that's
like a big cul-de-sac kind of thing.
if you look up in Copeland, Pennsylvania, it's called, just Google Minka, Minka.
You said that word a few times. I've got it in the back of my mind.
It
now.
was developed in Sweden. It's a home that's put together, and it's accessible. It's totally designed for somebody with needs, and it's like 800 to 1,200 square feet. So they're doing this in Pennsylvania. They're doing it in Illinois at the campus of University of Illinois. Yeah.
I think that's
It's
it
fascinating.
makes sense.
It's so awesome.
It's going to take a while. I
and
think
you don't need a lot of land because they're so small.
Yeah, but then you also come across where I don't think providers can have so many houses on the same street. So there are things there where you have to make sure that it is integrated, where someone that may have a disability, and then the house next door, they don't have a disability, or the elderly the next door.
Exactly.
So
and
you
that's
have
what
to.
these are. That's why they have one seniors living in one. They don't have disabilities. They're just a senior. And then you've got another adult with disabilities living there.
Yeah.
But, for Kyle, someone with significant disabilities, that's why I envision the more campus approach, because I need more help. I need one-on-one. Kyle will require, not all the time, but he will require a lot more help than maybe somebody else would.
Now you say campus, and I think some people get institution from that.
No, I look at a senior housing campus. I mean, look at them. They're like cruise ships on land.
Yeah.
If you look at some of the senior housing, but again, why can't you integrate those? Is there a way to do that?
I think there are a lot of benefits that come from being, like you say, campus there. Even from like Apple, they have a campus, and it's a fully immersed campus
Or
there.
Community, a senior housing community. Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't. That's a wrong choice of words. It's a senior housing community. And
Community
my
is a
husband
lot
would
better
shoot me
word.
if he heard me say that because that's what he does for a living. I can't say it's a senior housing community, not a campus. Yeah. So no, I'm passionate about the housing issue. I mean, I talk to people all over the country. I'm obsessed about that.
I think it's something that's on a lot of parents' minds.
Such a need.
And I think that we should have broadcast
Because-
specifically about
right.
that.
We have a lot of stuff going on in Alabama, not TASH related, but just there's so many things, like you said, that are really, really, really happening in education and in self-advocacy and in legislature. And we as parents and as a community, it's really, really, really a priority for us to take on that role of not expecting other people to do it for us, but to really plug into our communities and use what you learn on a TASH website or a People First website or a Full Life Ahead website. I mean, just for me, what has worked for us is just go into your community and make it happen for your son or daughter. People are a lot more accepting than you think. They are welcoming our folks more and more. They really are. The church world is getting on the there was just a big conference I attended at Samford on inclusion. I have to get up and just show this. That was so cool. Accessible gospel, inclusive worship.
Go ahead and tilt that to the camera right there. Yep.
Leading a special needs ministry. So, this was a big symposium and there was churches from all over. So it's moving and you just have to get your son or daughter out there and say, this is what I want for them. How can you help me get it? Not just through your schools, not just through your state government, but through your community, because they seem to get things done a lot quicker. For Kyle, it's worked his community, and everything he does is in his community within 3 miles of where we live right here.
So that's very nice that it's close.
Yeah.
But you do have
For
to
the
put,
rural areas, yeah, it's different.
you do have to put yourself out there.
You do.
It's kind of like the metaphor, if you have a flat tire, the easiest way to get help is to start fixing the flat tire. And that may not be the right metaphor there, but you do have to put yourself out there. And then I think the community was like, yeah, we see that you're,
Yeah, the fancy word for that is building your son or daughter's social capital. So social capital. So you want to get him or her as much social capital as you can, and that can come from anywhere. Anywhere. Just think outside the box. And once you know what you want to do, then you go find the people to help you. But you got to have a little bit of a plan.
Okay, well, very good. I am going to save this video and we'll put it and chop it up and put clips on YouTube.
Sure.
But at this time, I am going to go ahead and end the stream. I appreciate everybody watching the video here with us live and anybody that's going to be watching it in the future.
And come join TASH. That's all I can say.
Yes, tash.org. And then if you search TASH Alabama, you will see the Alabama website there, and you will see
Facebook page, yeah.
Yep.
We don't have a website, but we have a Facebook page.
Facebook page.
Which we're working on. We were doing really well with our posting, but we have our new social media person that's joined our team, so she's going to get on it and get some stuff posted.
I have the same thing for all of the clips that are editing. I'm bringing on somebody because I need help.
Yeah.
It's like keeping up with everything.
I can imagine. So. Alex, you are amazing. I'm so glad that we had this chance together, and I'm all behind your mission. Tell them what your mission is. I think it's really cool. Have you shared that?
No.
Am I embarrassing you?
Right now, we're just focusing on a broadcast a week. So
I think big. I've always been a think big person. I like your style. You think big. I think it's great.
But I appreciate you being here with me and sharing your experience and what you're doing here in Alabama.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
And at this point, we will end the stream, and we will see you guys next week. Okay. Let me double check Facebook. We stopped streaming.